This is day 2 of our journey. Time check, it's just a few minutes past 6:30. We had to set up the tent last night because we couldn't find a place to sleep, but it was worth it because look at this view. There was actually a sheepfold down the hill, but the shepherd asked us to set up a tent a little further away because otherwise the dozen of dogs he had would have barked all night with us there. We left the meadow where we slept and continued our way to Moldovica. The trail goes through fairy-like woods and sunny meadows, and the ascent is not as steep as in the previous day. The meadows are either home for the thousands of sheep and cows, because shepherding is the main occupation in this area, or are inhabited by small villages with very helpful people, always ready to give you advice, a drink of water, or even food. One by one, we go through the apple meadow, oat meadow, wolf meadow, horse meadow, and each of them with its own charm. When you get a smooth downhill descent, you have to enjoy it, since there are less than a handful in the whole Bucovina section of Via Transilvanica. The name Bucovina comes from the Slavic word buk, which means beechwood in English, and I perfectly understand why the name. We went through endless woods of beech trees. We've been in the wilderness for quite some time now. We didn't have real food in more than 20 hours, so we had to forage for food here and there. We picked hazelnuts and berries on the way. The berries that you find here are called fragi in Romanian, and I don't know the English word for them since I only found them and ate them in Romania. They are like strawberries but tiny and very sweet. We finally ate in Vatra Moldovice and continued our way to Salova. We didn't get to Sadova. We again faced steep ascents and we had to push the bike for most of the way, but the scenery was straight from heaven. The night was falling and we were faced again with the perspective of spending one more night in the wilderness, which we didn't mind at all, but we were running out of power in our devices. As we climbed the hill, we saw down in the valley a sheepfold. The dogs saw us too and started barking. The shepherd called the dogs and came towards us to guide us and invite us to his hut for the night. He was there with his 7-year-old son, who had to bribe his sister to let him use her turn to spend the time with his father in the mountains. The shepherd could only take one child at a time. He was kind enough to give us fresh cheese, polenta, and milk, and we fell asleep warmed by the wood fire in the hut. Stay tuned for day 3, where we spend a couple of hours with the shepherds before we tackle the steep ascent to Pietri's Peak. Until then, I let you admire the beautiful ridges of Bucovina. If you like what you see, please follow the link below and help the children for whom I do all this.